Hello and welcome. I'm the Theory Detective. In these lessons we'll uncover the mystery of music theory. Now, we're learning about the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord. Or the 1 chord, the tonic, the 5 chord, the dominant, and the 4 chord, the subdominant. Remember that sub means below, so it dominates from underneath. Think about it this way. If you have the tonic in the middle, the dominant is a fifth above, and the subdominant is a fifth below. So they kind of surround the tonic. So we're going to look at A major now. Let's first look at the scale. Now, if you remember from the key of A major, or the scale of A major, that it actually has 3 sharps. F sharp, C sharp, G sharp. Go ahead and say that out loud. Now, let's find these sharps in the scale. There's our A, B, and there's our C. So it's F sharp, C sharp, so we fill that in. Let's change that. There we are. So our C sharp, D, E, F. Remember, F is our first sharp, so we add that one in. So we have F sharp, C sharp, and then our third sharp is the G sharp, and we add that in. And that gives us the nice half step between the G and the A. Instead of G, it's G sharp, which goes right into the A. So it has that nice half step sound that we like. So, going from here, this is the 1, that's our tonic, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and of course 8 or 1 again. Now if you go down, we'll also say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So our D here is a fifth below. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A fifth above is our E, and a fifth below is our D. So those are the chords that we want. Those are the chords that we need for our primary triads, our main chords in the scale of A major. So first is the A chord, and it's going to be here. We skip up, and there's our C, but remember instead of C, it's C sharp. So we add in the sharp here. So that there's our third. And remember that this is the tonic. I'll put it down here. Tonic. And it's our 1. And I'm going to give it a Roman numeral 1 or I for 1. So we have our tonic chord. Skip up to a third, C sharp, skip up a third, E. E is fine because we only have 3 sharps. We need the G sharp, but E is not sharp. So we leave that as is. And that gives us a second third, or from the bottom to the top, that would be a fifth. Okay? So we have the interval of a third, and we have an interval of a fifth. So when we identify each of the notes in a chord, we usually start out by saying, or in a triad, a chord built by thirds. Triad has 3 notes, and they're generally built by thirds. So we have the root, or the original note, the third, and then a third above that is the fifth. So we have the root, and I'll put an R here for root. The third and the fifth of the chord. And those are different from the third or the fifth of the scale. In this case, we're dealing with the tonic chord, so it's the same as the scale. The third would be the third of the scale. But we can do the same thing by the 5 chord, and that will show us something different. Here's our fifth. So for the 5 chord, our root is going to be the E. So there's our 5, but this is also called the root. And a third above that is our third. And then a third above that, or a fifth above that, is called our fifth. So we have our root, our third, and our fifth. but this is the 5 of the scale. The 5th note, the E is the 5th note of the scale. So we have root 3rd 5th, and that's E, G, and then the B. But remember that the G is sharped from over here. So we have to add that in as well. There's our G sharp. And then the 4th, this is our 4 chord. I'll go ahead and give you Roman numeral V, Roman numeral 5, V for 5. And over here our 4 chord. So we count a 5th below is our 4 chord, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we do I, V for that. So we have I for 1, V for 5, and IV for 4. Again, we skip up. That gives us our 3rd. So we have the root of the chord, the 3rd of the chord, and then all the way up gives us our 5th of the chord. You can't really see that. I'll put it up here. Our 5th of the chord. Here is our D. When we skip up, we go to the F. But remember that F is sharp. That's our very first sharp. So we have to add in a sharp, and I can't really fit very much in there. Add in a sharp as best we can in there. And that gives us our F sharp. So, A major, primary chords or main chords, or you can call them triads. A triad is just a chord that has 3 notes, and it's usually built off of thirds or skips. So primary chords or primary triads would be the 1 chord, the tonic, the 5 chord, the dominant, and the 4 chord, the subdominant. And in the key of A major, those chords are A major for the 1 chord or the tonic chord. The dominant would be E major. Don't forget to sharp the G, the 3rd. E major, that would be the dominant, and the 4 chord, or a 5th below, would be the D major chord, and that has the F sharp. So that's for A major. Now let's move on to our next key, the E major. We're going to do the same thing for that. Remember that for E major, you actually have 4 sharps. Go ahead and say them. F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp. Try to say them in sets of 2. F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp. Go ahead and try. And say them again. F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp. Okay, so we're going to find these. First off, we get a nice F there, so we're going to add in our sharp. There we are. And next up, G is sharped. That's our 3rd sharp, so I'm going to go ahead and add that in as well. We have a C up here, so I'm going to go ahead and add that in. And then we have our D. So we have, in the order of sharps, F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp. Again, F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp. And those give us the 4 sharps for the key of E major. So, over here, E major, we want to have a tonic or 1 chord. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, or 1 again. Our 1 chord will then be E, because that would be the tonic note or name note of the scale. So for the key of E major, or the scale of E major, we have our E. There's our E there. That gives us our root. We skip up, and that gives us our 3rd. We skip up again, and that gives us our 5th. And that looks much cleaner. Remember that the G is sharp. If you notice from here, the E major chord, we had to sharp the G. So we're going to go ahead and add in a sharp there. Now again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 5th of the chord, the dominant is a 5th above. So we go from there. There's our 5. That's a B chord. Now B is a little bit different. It's a little bit harder because we have both the F sharped but also the D sharp. So it's going to look a little bit strange. B is not sharp. He's good. But we're going to add in a sharp for the D, and also, I'm going to squeeze it in here, for the F. because remember the F is our first sharp, and then our D is the fourth sharp that gets added for E major. So we have F sharp, C sharp. We have F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp. D must be sharped as well. So that actually gives us two sharps on this poor little chord. So we have our root, I'm going to squeeze him in, our third skipping up to D sharp, and our fifth skipping up to F sharp. And our last chord, we're going to go below 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the 4 chord is a fifth below, and that gives us our subdominant. In this case, it's A major. Over here, there's our root. We skip up to C, but remember C has to be sharped. So right here, we're going to squeeze in a sharp on our C, and that gives us our third. And then we have our fifth. We skip up to our fifth. So now we have the chords for A major and the chords for E major. A major, 3 sharps, F sharp, C sharp, G sharp. I'll go ahead and play those. Here's A major. And then here's the chord, A major, the tonic chord or A chord. So our 1 or tonic chord. Our 5 chord or dominant chord, the E major. And our 4 chord or subdominant chord, the D major. There we are. Now for E major, right here, there's our tonic chord, E. I'm going to go below, since I've written it below. There's our B chord, and there's our A chord, the 4 chord. So this is the 1 chord, the 5 chord, and the 4 chord. Now put the Roman numerals nice and capital. Remember for major, make sure that everything looks very capital so we don't get confused between the major and the minor. There are other kinds of chords that we commonly use, such as augmented and diminished, and we'll talk about those in later levels. But for now, we're dealing with major and minor, and we need to make sure we can distinguish between them, because these are the most common chords, major chords and minor chords. So major will always get nice capitals, and minors will get lowercase, like that. Again, the E chord, there's our 1 chord. Down over here to our B chord, that's our 5 chord or dominant, and our subdominant is the A. So that's it for today. Go ahead and take out your flashcards on one of them. A major, the 1 chord in the key of A major, and that would be the A major chord. So go ahead and put that A major on the opposite side. Very easy. And the 5 chord in the same key, A major. And then on the opposite side, put E major or E major chord. The 4 chord in the key of A major, that would be our D major chord. And then we have for E major, so change key, we have the 1 chord in E major, and that would be the E major chord. And then we have the 5 chord or dominant chord in E major, and that's the funny one, that's the B major chord. It has 2 sharps on it, both D and F are both sharped. And then finally the 4 chord in E major. And that's the A major chord. We've already had that one before. That one's easy. Go ahead and add those to your practice pile. Practice them as much as you can until they become very easy. And as always, have a great day.